it's just a game. We'll play the part, but it won't be the same. They have a habit overcharging, forcing the hand into a plea bargain. Offered up a plea deal, but I didn't do it for real. Turn the world against me, but I just wanna be free. I've got the facts, they've got the lies. Motion denied. They say they've got so much evidence. Trace DNA is taking precedence over unknown blood found at the scene. I think it's time someone just came clean. Offered up a plea deal, but I didn't do it for real. Turn the world against me, but I just wanna be free. I've got the facts, they've got the lies. Motion denied. Been sentenced to death. I'm not a bad guy, not holding my breath. Rather do life than offered up a plea deal, but I didn't do it for real. Turn the world against me, but I just wanna be free. I've got the facts, they've got the lies. Motion the night, motion the night, motion the night, motion the night.
The devil's advocates whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood. Blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway
All right. Welcome again to another Crimes After Dark on a Friday night where I don't know, can we get any more loose? I think it's hard to say that we get more loose on a Friday night. But yeah, on a Friday night, we tend to let the hair, no, I think we do the same thing every single night. Anyways, something about Friday night feels different. I don't know what it is, but let's get this thing started fairly quickly. We've got a panel backstage, not the full panel, but we got a panel backstage. We've got Logan from Bronx Tales True Crime. We've got JJ State of the Deep. We've got Dago from True Crime Cafe. We've got Robin, and we're missing, unfortunately, one because, well, his schedule is all over the place now that he's been promoted to captain and he's got some issues to work out and some schedule things to do. So he will be back on the show as soon as we figure out what his schedule is and he gets done with all that stuff. We will work out something so that we can get him on the show when he can do the show. We're not sure what his new schedule is going to look like. I don't think he knows what his new schedule is going to look like. Anyways, let's get the panel on relatively quickly, and then I'll tell you maybe about things that are going on for a drop tomorrow. I got a drop coming out tomorrow. I had a drop yesterday. We can talk about that. I think we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's going to come out in the drop tonight. Anyways, Logan, how you doing?
I'm like, holy crap, I didn't put anything on my lips and now I look like I'm deceased.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to take you?
No
I was like,
color.
I was like, you come on in the order that you are backstage. But it's
Hey,
all
I
good.
don't care. I'm not ashamed.
How
I'm
are
not
you doing
embarrassed of anything.
tonight? Perfect. Well, you're a better person than me because I know I could make some hellacious mistakes if you turn the camera on early on me.
We have a lot to talk about tonight, actually. Lots of different topics.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what you've got to talk about. We'll wait until we get the full panel up so they can reply as well. But anything special did you do live today?
I did.
Yeah.
We
any highlights?
it actually made me think of you because you do a lot on the Kopacka stuff, and we shared a lot of information of Kopacka's roommate, Jordan Baker.
Yeah.
And showed his very, very strange videos with his masks and knives and things.
You know, people keep telling me I need to watch his TikToks, and I haven't. So now I'm super. I didn't know there was masks and knives involved in it.
Oh, there's a lot of correlation, in my opinion, with the Idaho Fort case. There's a lot of things that I connected that maybe others might not have, and I thought, well, it could be a stretch. But then the more you look into it, it's like there's a lot of unsaid things in these videos, like. One of the background was Starry Night. Well, what was Koberger's alibi? Stargazing at night.
Right.
Just little things, you know.
That is interesting. I'm going to have to now dig into that more myself. So, all right. Well, I'm glad you shared that with us, and it sounds like it was a good topic. I got more Kopacka stuff coming very soon as well, so got some surprises maybe there, hopefully to share. Let's get JJ State of the Deep on stage. Everybody's got to be warned, by the way, because I'm not looking at what you guys are doing off stage. So,
oh man, I'm glad you're glad you warned me, man. I was doing some unsavory things here on this side of the camera.
I get it. I understand. But
hi, everybody.
Hello.
How are
Denizens, meatballs, believers, mods. Hello. I have breaking true crime news.
Oh shit!
Breaking news. I got called for jury duty.
No.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, God dang it. That's a bitter subject with me. Being a person who likes criminal cases and courtroom proceedings, I've always wanted to be on a jury. And only one time in my entire fucking life have I even been part of a jury pool. And I was so excited to get on the jury that I think I looked overeager and I didn't get picked. And I'm like, son of a bitch. And then I hear other people complaining, man, this is like the 6th time I've been called for jury, dude. I'm like, I don't know what you guys do with the pools, but I never get picked. So,
well, I'll switch places with you because I get hit up every year and I don't want to do it.
And that just aggravates me even more. The fact that I want to, and all these people are like, I hate doing it. I don't, man, I got picked again. And I'm like, how about pick me? Anyways,
I got too much shit to do, man. Like it's last year, the last time I got called, I went down there, you know, I had to go and I went down, spent like 3 hours sitting around. And then they're like, oh, you can all go home. I was like, okay. Anyway, I was glad that I was able to get out of there because you don't know what you're going to be in for, right? Like I have a lot of other stuff going on in my life, as most of you all do, I'm sure, that for me to have that time dedicated to a trial that might go on for a while. I'll tell you one thing, that you guys would all love to have been a part of. Where I live, you guys will remember this. Many years ago, Kobe Bryant got accused.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? That was here. That was where I
Yeah.
live.
Oh,
That happened
Wow.
right here.
Yeah.
And there were news stations everywhere. There were, it was a big deal. He's like one of the greatest basketball players of all time.
Yeah.
That happened right here. Could you imagine? But I don't think it really evolved into anything, right?
The
I don't
Kobe
remember.
thing?
It's so long ago. Anyway, that's my true crime breaking news.
I only want to be on the jury for a murder. That's it.
Right. And I don't think they would want me on the jury because I'm too much of a critical thinker. And I'd be like, well, wait a minute. What if it happened this way? And they're like, shut up, just convict already. Yeah. So anyways, all right, let's get Dago up and see. Hey, Dago, how's it going?
Poor Dago. Whoa.
How are you today?
Forget about it.
Did you also do a live today?
I did. I just finished it by the skin of my teeth. Jumping in here. I by 3 minutes. Literally.
He does lives every day, like 10 times a day. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's a streaming fool.
I felt like shit though, because I didn't realize Logan was live like a half hour after I was live and did my live. And there were people that were like, I wish you wouldn't have done this. So I have to choose where I'm going. I got people on 2 different devices watching us both. And I had to run late today because in the spring when my wife was home, we do spring cleaning, and that's what I've been doing. So I did a late one today. Unfortunately, I won't be this late tomorrow. I'll be in early afternoon to make part 2 of my show from today. So
that's okay. One of us will get the replays.
And I missed her show because I like watching her shows too. And I don't like being live with somebody else that I, 1, work with, and 2, I love watching her shows. So I don't ever get to see your shit, Lee, because
because you're here.
Well, yeah, but there's that too. But I go back and do a lot of replay stuff. So, Joe, when you start your channel, I mean, you're going to do what you got to do, but I'm going to be a busy ass watching all this shit by myself. So,
well, once I get stuff under my belt and I'm more comfortable with StreamYard and all that stuff and editing, I'll start having guests on. I was telling DA earlier, I do not want to be having guests before I know what I'm doing with I'm talking about just operationally.
Yeah, I get it.
Because that would be really embarrassing. You have a guest on and then you don't know what the hell you're doing with the
It happens. It happens. Don't worry about it. We will all help you through whatever you were having to work through, bro. I promise you that.
Oh, I appreciate it.
But besides that, yes, it's great to be here again, as always, with you awesome peeps. It's great to have Logan back. Great to have JJ here. I love when JJ gets to be here with us. I missed 1-1, unfortunately. So thank you guys for having me again. I'm looking forward to tonight, and it is Friday.
Yeah. And I'm running on double RAM. I got my extra RAM in today. I doubled the RAM on my computer, so I'm pretty excited about that.
You noticed the difference?
Not yet. Not a damn bit. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. It was like fucking $379, and I haven't noticed a goddamn thing differently. But hey, I felt good.
Word. I didn't.
If you're twice the size you were before, you're fucking happy. I don't care what you say. So
yeah. Well, here we go again.
Robin, here we go again.
Here we go again.
I gotta get that one. Robin, what's going
here
on?
we go again.
Hello, Mom.
Hello, how are you?
Wonderful.
So what's up in your world?
Oh, this, that, and the other, living in a dream and all that crap. So
did you send a link to my wife? She's not backstage for moderating, so I was expecting her because I thought I saw her a second ago. But I don't know if she's expecting the link. Okay.
I don't ever. She just pops in somehow. I don't know.
Oh.
We gotta send out a search.
I don't ever send
She's
her
got a
link.
seat. She's got a seat. That's right. We don't have to send her a link.
She's got a seat. Yeah. That really threw me. I was like, wait a minute.
Well, I was like, why is she not there? I just saw her in the hallway. But anyways,
I don't
no
know,
big deal. No big deal. You know what?
Anyway.
Well, it's good to see you. Is there any updates
of course
that you can give us about anything in your life?
No, not right now.
All right. Well, that's fair. We can do that.
Nothing exciting in my world.
How weird is it that I can't now say, okay, now 1-1, give us a monologue? Like there's no monologue.
Yeah, there's no monologue.
It throws me off every time he's not in here to do a monologue. But
Well,
Anyways,
we have to
Yeah.
make it through it this time and make it right.
we will make it right. So what do you guys got on tap? I mean, I've got something. I think Logan said she had some things. I think Dago, you've got some things. I don't know about JJ because I talked to him about other things other than things going on tonight. Robin, I don't know if you have any things, but if anybody has some things, let me know.
Well, I do, but go ahead. That's fine. It's not a personal thing. It's a case related thing. If you want to hear it now, fine, or whatever.
Why don't you go first? Tell us what you got.
All
for a
right,
case
I'll
related
go
thing.
first. Okay. Re- Rex Heuermann, I don't know if anyone else has heard this,
Yes.
is expected to plead guilty to 7 counts of murder. So that would came completely. We saw that last night at like
Yeah.
2 in the morning or whatever it was, because it had just broken, I guess. But I guess Ray Tierney is kind of like in a wait and see kind of pattern. Neither him or the defense, to my knowledge, have given official like big statements or anything yet. So
the weird part about that is I thought I remembered Ray Tierney saying that he didn't see a possibility of
Nope.
offering or accepting a plea deal offer because he had no intention of taking a plea. So I mean,
no.
Is Tierney's silence meaning he hasn't signed off on it, or is the rumor that he is going to agree to the plea deal?
Right.
What does Rex Heuermann have to give them? What does he have to give? So here, let's talk about that for a second. The only perceived reason for Ray Tierney, the district attorney, to accept a plea deal would be in exchange for something. If Rex Heuermann's going to cough up bodies and tell them locations of bodies, then I would imagine a plea deal.
Right.
So that's the big question.
Bingo.
Are they going to make him give something up? Because why would they give him a plea deal? They can execute the guy. Well, I don't know if they don't have execution in New York, but they can put him away for life in prison without possibly parole. And there's nothing is going to change that. Like, it's almost a foregone conclusion he's going to get that. So why would they accept a plea unless he's going to give them some information and some closure on some crimes?
That's what I think it is. And now according to Newsday, did read the article in there, the families are the ones who I guess told Newsday about the fact that they've already been contacted. So to me, the fact that they've already been contacted, I mean, even though the district attorney is kind of keeping it, under wraps a little bit, kind of, and not, speaking on it, it says that it's a pretty good shot. Now, the judge, of course, has not signed off on anything yet. So there are some things. I mean, maybe Rex would change his mind. We don't know yet, but
this is a great point, because look, this is kind of what pissed off some of the families in the Idaho 4 thing, right? Steve Gonzalez said nobody informed him that a plea deal was going to be offered, kind of thing. It pisses families off when a plea deal is accepted and agreed upon behind their back, and then they're informed after the fact that, hell, by the way, he pled guilty. Like, well, why the fuck weren't you asking me if I wanted to plead guilty? Like, maybe I want to see him prosecuted, right? So the fact, well, I shouldn't say it's a fact, but the fact that Newsday has reported that the families have been contacted about the plea deal does mean that it's very likely to be happening, because they would be notifying the families ahead of time to get ahead of that and say, hey, are you okay with this? We're going to take a plea. So
maybe he's going to give up some crooked cops.
God, that would make me rigid with excitement.
That's a good point.
That's a very good point.
And what if I still think there's more people out there that he's murdered. That's my opinion.
Oh yeah. So that's the other thing.
Yeah. They estimate up to 300.
Give up info about other murders. I mean, that there right there is incentive.
Bingo.
Yep.
But here's the question.
About that earlier.
Here's the question. I was talking to John Ray, attorney John Ray, about this very possibility about the plea deal. And John Ray was the one that was, I think John Ray was telling me, I don't see a plea because what can Rex Heuermann possibly offer him? Or I should say in reverse, what can they offer Rex Heuermann? He's going to have life in prison no matter what. So why would Rex give up Dick? Because what is he going to ask for? A better cell? A couch? Yeah,
easier life.
Yeah, an easier life, right? So that's the only bargaining chip they potentially have is, hey, I want a comfy cell, I want my own wing, whatever the case may be.
And here's the thing, guys. If you think about this, I was talking to Kim about this earlier at the beginning of my show. He had a house in Vegas, a house in the Carolinas.
Yep.
Multiple places, and he traveled. So I will almost guarantee that there are bodies probably in each one of these areas, and then some.
Well, And another place he's rumored to
Florida.
have had property is Alaska.
Right. He's
Really?
had
Yeah.
property in Alaska,
Yes.
Las Vegas, I
And we
think
know
he's a
Arizona.
hunter.
How many indigenous missing women are in Alaska, Robin? I know you know this.
There you go. There
I
you
know
go.
you know this specifically. I covered God rest her soul, Wisdom Speaks. I miss her so much. She was always about that, and she introduced me to how many missing indigenous women from
Yep.
Alaska there are, guys. It would be so easy down in Alaska to do this. And this man of all people, if that's true, not to mention he had property in Florida is the one I forgot. I was telling Mikey,
Right.
my producer, earlier. Jesus Christ, like the Everglades, the swamps, the gators. How easy is it for you know what I'm saying? Like
He
they're
had property
probably
in
all
South
over.
Carolina with lots of private property
Yeah.
where he could have dumped bodies on.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
he could have, like I said, there's rumors that he could be one of the most prolific serial killers ever and may have body counts up in the
Yes.
300s even, you know. So I don't know
Right.
where they got that number, but that's a number that I heard before. And so if he was killing
And-
if he was killing in multiple states on multiple
Yeah.
properties, yeah.
And
I have no doubt.
one thing that I'm kind of wondering is because he was on crutches, he's got some health issues going on. Is he so sick that at this point he's thinking, well, what do I have to lose now?
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
maybe.
and there's
And
also
maybe
the question.
before he goes out, he wants fame and glory
Right.
or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe he wants the notoriety. Like if maybe he wants to go down in history with his name in the history books that I'm one of the biggest killers ever. And maybe he'll be like, look, I'm going to give you names of like 150 different women and I'll tell you where they're at. Maybe he can do that. And would they take it and would they publicize it so that he gets the fame that he wants to be, look at me, I'm
Mhm.
a badass. I killed all these people.
Well, if they
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have a choice but to publicize it, Lee. If it was a high number like that, they would have to put something.
Right.
Out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And to Bianca's point, we've been covering this, and I know True Crime with the Sarge does, and Josh Zeman on Sinister, and I guess there's been some kind of rumblings about this behind the scenes, I guess, according to Joe Jackalone. But I mean, Joe came on last night. It was a short that he did, and it was like, whoa. And but I mean, he was surprised that it was like bam, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
He had been hearing maybe some things kind of, but then
And here's
all of a sudden
it's the
it was
and here's
there.
the thing to go to Bianca's point. This is what drives me nuts. For us on my channel, the Lisk is kind of where our channel goes to die. When we post
Yeah.
anything on Lisk, it dies. And I
It's
can't
like-
get
Same here.
much closer to the case. I've had John Ray on my show multiple times.
Right.
I've had him call me to do a special press release with me. I've had one of the people who actually almost may have been killed by Rex Heuermann back in the day contact me and want to meet me in New York and give me her story. Like I've gotten as close to this case as I probably could get, and nobody gives a shit when we talk about it. So I don't know what
Yeah.
it is with this case. I mean,
They
other than
won't.
I think it's because people want a mystery, and there's not a lot of mystery there. Like, oh yeah, he killed people.
Yeah.
So what's the mystery?
Well,
People love the
To
mystery.
me, there
aspect.
is. How many people
Shannon
has
Gilbert.
he killed? What
That's it.
state?
Yep.
Did he kill Shannon Gilbert? How well did he know her? Because we know that she, partied with some cops and stuff like that, and we know that there could potentially be connections between Rex and cops.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of connections that a lot of people probably aren't aware of, and they've been looking at him going back to when he was younger. Now they're starting to investigate things in that area from where he worked when he was younger. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of mystery with this case.
And
Not to
what are the chances that a guy who's killed let's say seven people,
That's what he's going to plead guilty to, right?
that's
7.
it? I mean,
Right.
if he's had houses, a serial killer, I mean, look at many examples, Ted Bundy being the obvious one. Wherever they are, they kill people. I mean, that's what they do.
Right.
It's especially if it's an opportunistic type of situation, and in places like Alaska and Florida, where there's some like depressed, populations and things,
Yeah.
like
Right.
to Dago's point, indigenous communities like in Alaska.
That's right.
I mean, think about that. Think about, did he live anywhere near reservations?
Right.
I
mean, if you just look
at reservations where you have marginalized people living, I've driven I rode my motorcycle through the Navajo Nation, and it doesn't get that much more depressed than that.
Right.
And
No, it's like the reservations are like third world countries.
yeah, it's
Yes.
crazy, man.
Horribly.
And it's the drug.
The Navajo reservation, half of them don't even have running water.
Yeah, it's
It makes
bad.
me sick. It makes me
I
sick.
traveled through it a lot.
Those are the people
Yeah.
that gave us this land. I'm sorry. Those are the people we stole our land from, and this is how they have to live, and it kills
Right.
them. Every
It's
day I
depressing, man. It's very
Yep.
depressing. And I never realized how depressing. I knew it intellectually, but I rode for like far, like 1,000 miles through Navajo, different states of Navajo Nation. And it is, man, it is something to behold. And every place you go,
Yes.
you'll have beautiful rest stops because they take beautiful care of their rest stops because they own them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the nicest gas stations I've ever seen in my life. But outside those gas stations is an abundance of people that look in really bad shape,
Yeah.
clearly
Yeah.
substance abuse issues.
Yep.
And you don't really, it doesn't hit home until you go through those areas.
Real quick,
Yeah.
the question about Rex Heuermann's crimes. I think the oldest one of the ones that they were looking at him for was in the 1990s, but that's not to say that he wasn't killing before that. But that's when the
They go back to when he was
2010.
younger. Yeah.
Right,
2010.
was
2010.
wasn't there
That's
what
the
wasn't
first
there?
one.
Well, no, I thought there was one in the 1990s, and then the
I thought there was
2010 wasn't
too.
more all into
97.
That he's been charged with, though?
Yeah. Well, no, the first one of the
News.
early ones that was looked into was like maybe he got ruled out of that one. Was it God, I'm thinking of her name.
Thank you, Michelle F, for gifting the membership real quick to Cynthia.
Sandra
Rose.
Castillo was one. Castillo was one that he got
Congrats.
charged with. Right?
Or Rita, when was Rita chained ready?
Anyways,
Oh.
so yeah,
Yeah.
So I mean, the early 2000s, late 1990s, maybe is when they were looking at him for starting the thing, but it may have gone on before that. May have been going on long before that, actually. So
Right.
who knows? And I was going to say to JJ, like his property in South Carolina has a gate on it with skulls on it and stuff like that, and it had
Yep.
acreage. And I thought, was he going to retire and continue to dump people on his property out in South Carolina?
Good point.
So yeah,
The chances that he didn't start young are very improbable because
Yeah.
Very.
it's just based on
Yeah.
forensic investigating. Like serial killers typically start pretty young.
Can you imagine what he could have done at a younger age as compared to what he did when he got to the age that started at? It would be insane, Joe. You know what I mean? It would.
I agree.
I guarantee you,
100%.
I guarantee there's going to be a movie made out of this because
Oh my God! Yeah.
he had that weird. I mean, he had creepy things about him. Like he lived in the same house. He owned the same house he grew up in,
Yeah.
of which
Yeah.
allegedly he had an abusive father, and he basically allegedly turned the room that he was abused as a boy into the kill room at his
Yep.
house.
That
Which
was
is
the
deep
whole-
psychological shit. Like
Yeah.
it's just like how fucked up. You're like, this is where I got abused. I'm going to stay there. I'm going to keep it exactly
Very
like it was
deep.
when I grew up, and I'm going to make
Yeah.
my bedroom into a kill room. And like you're gonna have some creepy movies made out of that shit.
Well,
Oh.
you always end up hearing about, like when you watch documentaries about serial killers, there's speculation about animals that were turning up dead in their, but they can't prove it, many, many years later,
Right.
around them because they oftentimes start with animals when they're
Yes.
young.
Right.
True
Oh, Dahmer.
psychopaths, like
Yeah.
serial killers that are psychopaths, start young.
Dahmer did for sure. That's a fact. Yes, and there's many.
And oftentimes, I mean, there are trends. They oftentimes start killing animals first. So you usually start finding animal abuse early on when they're experimenting with cutting things up, and they're
Right,
fascinating. Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
truly on point, sir.
So yeah, it's one of those big cases that I can't believe didn't hit more. I guess for me, maybe I failed the mark with my group because I was so fascinated by the police corruption angle that police officers were covering for Rex Heuermann, disassembling the FBI and getting the FBI off, and disassembling the task force looking into Lisk. That's one of the first things James Burke did is disassembled the task force looking into the serial killer, and then you find out later on people people are like, oh yeah, I partied with Rex Heuermann and that guy, like they were buddies. And then you wonder how many cops were buddies with Rex Heuermann and how many people looked the other way. And there's even questions
doctor.
about whether or not one of the cops kind of he apparently liked to choke
Yes.
women, do drugs with them, choked them, said that
Yep.
prostitutes weren't important. Who gives a shit that's a prostitute? That was one of the cops. There's the chief of police. The chief of police, like, who gives a shit? They're fucking prostitutes. Likes to choke them out and do drugs with them. You don't think that guy might have gone too far sometime and killed one of them? And like, I'm just gonna cover that shit up.
I'm a little weirded out by Heuermann. Name's actually pronounced Heuermann. Sorry.
Yeah.
By his wife and daughter as well. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying I think they did anything particular, but there's something that's off, especially with his wife, I
Mhm.
think. And again, the daughter was raised by him and the wife. Who knows? And I'm not saying that they had hands on anything to do with any of the murders, but I think that there's a grand possibility they knew what Daddy was doing. And
Yes. Yeah.
Just-
and
you never know if they were involved in hiding people and helping him do these things. You know what I mean? So.
And John Ray was suggesting that he did think that the family knew that both his daughter and his wife knew what was going on, and he has reasons to believe that they lied about their alibis when we were out of the country. No, you weren't. Like, maybe you weren't. So
You kind of have to think like that they did know, with as much as was going on inside that house with him, with the traveling, this and that. There's in some ways it's almost like, how did you not know? You know what I mean? So
right, yeah.
I didn't see your question, Michelle. I'm sorry. Let me go back and look. Does Rex's voice sound like the guy that called from? Sorry, I can't remember. I'm tired. That called. I don't know what you mean for sure, Michelle. If you, which case are we talking about?
Oh, that called the sister.
The one that was
Melissa Bartholomew's
taunting
sister.
the sister,
Taunting her.
Oh,
I don't think so, unless he was really disguising his voice. Because when you see that video of him when he was being interviewed about his architecture business and things like that, unless he was really like disguising his, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Are there actual? Yeah, there's recordings of that. Yeah,
there was
I don't.
during one of Josh Zeman's documentaries. He played a recording and asked her if she recognized the voice of Rex Heuermann. How'd you say Heuermann? How'd you pronounce it, Dago?
Heuermann is how it's actually supposed to be pronounced.
Heuermann. I've been pronouncing it wrong. Maybe that's why my channel's never taken.
Everybody
off
does. I did too.
No, everybody does because that I didn't learn that until recently, that it's actually supposed to be, because even in their interview with that reporter guy,
right,
he pronounced it Heuermann.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Look, the pronunciation thing drives me nuts because anyway.
Yeah.
Essie said that she did not recognize his voice. So there in turn, I guess, Did you follow this, Logan, at all? Yes, you did?
I did. From a long time ago when the victims were just starting to become victims. But he reminds me of what Israel Keys would have been had he not gotten caught and killed himself in jail. Israel Keys was nuts.
Crazy.
Did you guys see that documentary about the Alaska, about that guy that murder in Alaska? This girl, she worked at one of those like drive-up coffee
barista things.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Did you guys, anybody see that?
Is that the same one?
That's Israel Keys.
Israel.
Yeah. Israel Keys. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I wasn't sure of the name.
Is he the one that faked her being alive so that he can? So he can get more ransom money and shit.
That dude was
eyes
nuts.
open so he could take a picture of her and send it to her family.
Right. Oh God. Yeah. Like, it's just.
That's another one of those examples, right? We don't have. They may not have evidence of all that person's crimes, obviously, but that's somebody who's at that level of psychopathy does not just do things once or twice or even three times.
No.
It doesn't work that way. They typically escalate. So over time, it's like what Logan was saying. Can you imagine if these people didn't get caught?
Yeah.
They weren't going to stop. I mean, that's not the way that it works. They don't stop doing that.
Like
I
would
Joseph
argue most
D'Angelo
circles
is proof
don't
of
get
that.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people have had bodies pinned on them that truly weren't theirs. They just did so many that they don't even freaking remember, which is so sick.
Good question.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like somebody that's what they call a prolific serial killer. In most cases, it goes back pretty far.
Oh,
yes.
definite.
And
Israel,
from day one of the Idaho 4 case, you remember real early on, they had all these, investigators and stuff doing interviews and whatnot, and they had their serial killer theory, and they were
right?
talking about that. And it's like, and was saying to myself, there's no chance whoever did this is their first crime. I said, there's no way, because crimes escalate. They don't,
I
you
agree.
don't, the first time you murder people
Right.
historically is not a quadruple stabbing, which is a very brutal and hands-on type of crime. And it's like, when they arrested Koberger, I was saying, if he did it, this is before all the fuckery started becoming evident. I said, there's no chance that this is his first crime.
I agree. And
Uh,
honest, out of all of them, Israel scares me, like literally scares me the most. And I'm talking like
well, yeah, that creepy thing he did with the body was one of the creepiest
the
things.
dude's like cool. Even
And he looked scary.
Yeah. Oh
he
yeah.
did. He got
Yeah,
that
he scared the shit out of people that interviewed him and shit.
the
Yeah.
eyes. Even worse than John Wayne Gacy, or not Gacy, but oh Jesus, the other one, the dude that made lamps out of skin and all that.
Geen?
Gain.
Ed
Yeah,
Gein.
Ed
Ed
Gaines.
Gein.
Yeah.
I thought Ed Gein was scary until I
Gein,
read his story, and it was all based off of his schizophrenia and all that kind of stuff. This Israel enjoyed this. Okay, he wanted to do this. The guy scared the shit out of me.
I just real quick because it's been pinned on the. I don't remember the Kehoe brothers, and the only gun battle I remember was a gun battle in California over bank robbing stuff with I had brothers, but that's probably not what you're talking about. So I'm not sure. What
I don't know that one either. I don't remember hearing about that ever. But yeah, Israel
Joseph
Keys is probably
D'Angelo.
scariest. Oh, I know who that is. Basalia Ransacker.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That
And
was him before
Well,
he
he
became the Golden
became the
State
Golden
Killer.
State Killer. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers the Boston Strangler, right?
Of course.
When I was in college, I did a research paper on Albert DeSalvo. And then later on, a lot of information came out that all but exonerated. I mean, he did legally wasn't, but that all but exonerated him that he wasn't the one.
Right.
But Sebastian Younger, he's the guy who wrote A Perfect Storm, that the movie was made of, whatever. Right. He wrote a book called A Death in Belmont, and he lived in the town growing up, Belmont, Massachusetts, where Albert DeSalvo was in that area, and Albert DeSalvo worked on his house, right, when he was a kid. They were having a remodel done, and Albert DeSalvo was one of the guys. So this book is all about, encountering Albert DeSalvo and his personality and the whole story about that, and about the crimes as well. But that's a really interesting one too, because a lot of times cases like that, years later, you start finding out inconsistencies in the case.
Most definitely. It's crazy stuff. There's a lot of whack out stuff that do you guys remember Albert Fish? Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Not sure.
Nobody knows who Albert Fish is. That he used to put he was a doctor, and he used to put pins, needles. He would push them into his groin area. It's because he was a sadomasochist. He enjoyed the pain and stuff like that. It was wild. He killed quite a few people too and stuff I mean, there's a lot of these people out there, but out of all of them, no lie, for whatever reason it is, I don't know if it's because Israel Keys was so, the way he looked and acted and talked, and yes, Moonlit, you got it. That kind of stuff.
He was dark, man.
It scares the shit out of me, you guys. I don't know why.
He looked scary. He literally looked like a psychopath.
Yeah, right.
Do you guys read that book? I can't remember the name of it, about the World Fair in Chicago, about H.H. Holmes.
No.
It's a famous book. I think it might have even won a Pulitzer Prize. Yeah, what's the name of the book? Somebody will know it in the chat. It was it's like a real popular book. God,
H.H. Holmes.
it's by a famous author. It's a guy who he's written a ton of books that were like bestsellers and shit. What the hell's the
Patterson?
name of it? Somebody's got to help me, man. I can't remember the name of
Patterson
it.
write the book? James
No,
Patterson?
it was oh
There was
God.
one.
Somebody will be able to find it, but it's H.H. Holmes was a doctor.
Yeah.
And this was
Yeah.
like the World Fair in Chicago. I guess it was like the either late 1800s or early 1900s. And so there was like, hundreds of thousands of people in Chicago for the World's Fair. And they basically, Devil in the White City. That was the name of the book. Just popped into my head. Devil in the White City. That is a crazy, because H.H. Holmes is considered one of the most prolific serial killers of all time.
Yeah.
And he was a doctor, and he was literally like selling bodies to, like he would kidnap and murder people and sell the bodies for like dissection at medical schools and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was it's a crazy story. Anyway, sorry, I digress. It just popped into my head.
I was going to show because you kept talking about how Israel Keys looked and how he was freaky for you, but
he's got those eyes, man.
It's his eyes. I'm telling you, there's something behind him that is not human, in my opinion. It's weird.
And this was a thing about the woman that he murdered and sewed her eyes open, in an article from that as well. But crazy shit.
You know what's crazy to me about Israel Keys is he did all, he planted his kill kits all across America, remembered where they all were, would go back and dig them up and kill the closest victim or whatever was easier for him at that time. But the crazy thing to me is when he got arrested, he went to prison. Now he's extremely narcissistic. I mean, extremely narcissistic. He thought it was just a game with the cops and was going back and forth and laughing and joking and drinking his coffee and thought, just having a great time. But he ended up killing himself. And there's nothing that makes me think somebody is so strange than a narcissist who kills themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're like, that's the one person you love the most.
Yeah,
right?
that's not.
Exactly. I threw that book backstage, Lee, if you want to throw it up for them to see real quick. Joe was talking about it's actually got really high ratings about it.
Yeah. Eric Larson's written a bunch of really huge books, like big ones. And
I've heard of the author before for sure. He did
it's really good. It's kind of long and dense, but it's basically he does a great job of like painting the picture of the World's Fair and everything surrounding it. It's fantastic.
He wrote,
hold on, what's it called? The Devil in White City?
Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. Eric Larson wrote, if I'm correct, Isaac Storm as well, which is an amazing book too. If you've ever read that, very good.
He just came out with another one recently called like about the shit. I'll tell you in 2 seconds. I have it on my phone. He's written a lot of big books, like real bestseller, super popular.
Mm-hmm. Keys went to church and hung. Okay, I didn't know that.
What is it? Oh, damn it. What is it called? I have it. I just can't remember. It's something with the devil of something. Oh,
nothing comes to mind.
The devil. It's the demon of unrest.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Like his audiobooks are long. Like the Demon of Unrest is 17 hours long. And the Devil in the White City is like 15 hours long. So his, he gets into it. He gets into real detail.
Yeah, Tomboy Charm is adding
I
the
see it now.
Israel Keys connection there.
Hung out with the Kehoe brothers who were killers as well.
And the Aryan family.
The Aryan family as well. Yeah, they were from Spokane.
That's
gotcha. Thank you, Tomboy.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Very much. I would love to see. I don't know if I could do it, but I could do it from a distance. But I would love to sit and have an interview with Israel. I really would. just to pick his brain. Like, what goes through your mind, bro?
Me too.
One last thing about books, and I'll shut up. But there was a book called, I'm going to see if I can remember it, My Life with the Serial Killers, or My Life Among Serial Killers, or something like that, by a psychiatrist, I believe. Helen Morrison wrote it, where for years, she was interviewing a lot of these top, famous, high-profile serial killers. And one of the things that she came up with from all of her interviews and many, many, many hours interviewing these people in prison was that, after she said, psychopaths can hold a facade, right, for a certain amount of time. And her hypothesis is that it's 3 hours. They can hold the facade for 3 hours. And then after 3 hours, they start to reveal things that they were kind of covering up with a facade.
Well, you realize that's why we have a 2-hour show, right?
Yeah, of course. You can't go more than that, man.
I threw that backstage, by the way, for you guys to look at real quick if you want. It's cheap, $6.47.
Yeah, My Life Among the Serial Killers. That's it. Helen Morrison. It's kind of crazy, man. It's like she gets into like pretty serious detail and stuff like that, and that, I thought that was so interesting, that 3-hour thing, where it's like they can hold their facade, but only for about 3 hours. And she came up with that based on many, many interviews.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Logan, you had said earlier that in the intro, when we were talking, you said you got lots of things you wanted to talk about. You want to throw something out that we haven't started on? What you have in mind? Or
well, Rex was one of them. And then the Delphi stuff. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that, because there was a response in the case. So I don't know if you want to touch on that at all.
We certainly can. I read the entire, I stayed up to 3 o'clock in the morning last night, reading the entire document, highlighting it. As usual, I'm a wordy bastard. So I tried to start recording my thoughts on the matter, and I got an hour in and I was like, I'm not fucking scratching this document yet. So I did an hour video. It's going to drop tomorrow morning, actually, on the 3 kind of shocking possibilities that that the prosecution will get it. That, how do I say this? That their argument will be good enough to convince an appellate court not to allow it to be appealed. That they may have made an. See, that's the problem. I know Dago and I were talking about this a little backstage. How do I explain? Okay. Yes, we're talking about it. Give me a second to compose my thoughts. So. I told you originally, when they make this, when you read their side, it's going to be good. No matter what it is, it's going to be good. And if you read the defense's argument, it's going to be good. Both are great writing things. And they look, when you read them by themselves, they look amazing. You're like, oh my God, he did it. Or, oh my God, he didn't do it. And that's what they're good at. So now we have to figure out where the truth is. But when I look at the prosecution's argument, I was like, oh my God, how many half-truths did we potentially hear from the defense? And Dago was arguing, well, the defense wasn't allowed to present the whole thing, because it is true. There is a cap on the number of pages they can put into the appeal, unless of course they have filed for an extension to go past the allotment. But we can talk about that, about whether or not they presented a fair and accurate, or the other side, because that's what it felt like. There was half the story was told in one paper, half the story is told in the other paper, and somewhere maybe between the two is where the truth lies. So. Did you read it, Logan?
I have not read it all yet.
Okay.
Or I've just read bits and pieces of it. So no, I haven't. My thoughts on it so far are that they're pretty much still just doing what they were doing before in the trial. Bingo. Not letting his information out, not getting the truth out there, not allowing them to say what actually possibly happened, or any other ideas, what could have happened, any Odinist ideas, or I mean, my goodness, look at the staging of the girls. Like,
yeah, I would say for me, I agree. So I read the whole thing, and out of it, I would say that their Odinist counterpoint was probably the weakest of their whole paper. Like, I was more convinced on the big shocker to me, and I won't talk about it in super depth because I got a video coming tomorrow about it. But the biggest shocker to me was their explanation of when Richard Allen's mind broke. They basically agreed that he did go through a period of psychosis, but they explain how and why the psychosis happened. And it wasn't, they argue it wasn't because they tortured him. It wasn't because of anything. They made an argument like he had it cushy. He had it better than other people in there. And
Right.
his mind broke because of something completely different. And when I read their argument, I was like, well, that is interesting timing. And if they're right, and in fact, it's not even a matter if they're right. If an appellate court reads that, are they going to be like, oh, well, that makes sense because it looks good on paper?
Well, and here's the thing. This is where the defense has to come into play and say, that didn't happen. That's not true. He wasn't treated this way or that way or treated better than other inmates that had it cushy or none of that. He did not. The way he was treated was absolutely just barbaric. Okay? None of the stuff that they put in there, I was reading this getting pissed off. More and more pissed off. Everything I was reading, every sentence it would get more because they were lying. They were blatantly lying. Saying that they did this and did that for him and all these things. Bullshit.
So let me ask you that. Let's talk about that for a minute. So, because again, this is not a competition between you and I want to get to the truth, right?
Of course not.
I would argue this. Neither one of us were in the prison system, so we don't know what happened. They argued, for example, that he had a dimmable light switch. He had a window to the outside. In fact, when he complained about scratches on the window, they replaced. Yeah, they said he could dim his own lights.
In jail?
Yeah, that's what they said.
Are they high?
That's bullshit.
That's what they said.
They
said he had a window.
Never a thing in any jail anywhere in the United States.
They said they gave him a tablet. He could make phone calls to family from the tablet. He had crossword puzzles.
They didn't put
a window
in
to
there
the
that
outside
the
that they
tablets were
replaced for
broken
him.
though. They did. The tablets were broken and kept breaking, Lee. That way he couldn't contact his family.
Right. That's what, and they sort of had that in there. What they said was, even after Richard Allen broke his own tablet, we replaced it, which we don't normally do, but we replaced it for him. That's what they said.
How many years later?
That's bullshit. They were given to, one of them was given to him broken. That didn't have access to anything.
So where does your information come from? That's what I want to get to. Like, so you're saying that what they say, okay, this is great. Because again, reading it on paper, they gave a great argument. They like, look, he had visitation rights that no other person has in his position. He got out of his cell more often than people. He got taken off his shackles more often than other people. He had all these amenities given to him that other people don't get. And you're saying all of that's lies. So how do we prove it's a lie when none of us were in the correctional facility?
We can't. That's the problem.
Right.
Okay. We can't unfortunately prove it, and that's where the problem lies. That's why they've gotten away with what they have. Go ahead, Logan. I know you look like you're
gonna prove it, because look at Richard Allen and look at how he was when he went in, and look at him sitting in there after some time. Anything, they can say whatever they want because that's what guards do. A lot of them, not all of them. Some of them are fine, but look at his mental health and what happened. Sure, they can say whatever they want when they're feeding him medication that's making him die from the inside
involuntary thank you. Yes, something he had no idea he didn't ask for it, nor did he know what it was.
Exactly. This makes me so upset.
You're not talking about the Haldol shots. You're talking about something they were putting in his
the Haldol shots that he was given involuntarily.
Yeah, I mean they did admit that. I mean they admit that in the paper that they gave him involuntary Haldol shots after he had a psychotic break, which they said he had the psychotic break after he found out how much evidence they had against him.
Bullshit. That was after 13 months of solitary confinement. Yeah.
Well, they're gonna, of course, they're not gonna admit to essentially torturing somebody.
Just
so
look at it.
They're gonna push their narrative, and they'll apparently, according to what DA is saying, because I didn't read the document, but convincing, right? They're gonna make sure it's convincing because that's what they have to do.
I mean,
what prison system is going to admit to abuse?
Right. No, you're right. You're right. They're never going to admit to abuse.
So,
I mean,
let me give you a real quick example. Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Walla, the fangirl, the YouTube fangirl. Okay. In the document that I read, it states that she kept telling him not to talk about the case.
Correct. They mentioned that many times. Yeah.
She admitted on the fucking stand that she talked to him about the case. What she was doing, you guys, was saying, and I'm telling you, I wasn't sitting there, but this is what was done. Jesus Christ, I'm sitting sideways in my seat. I'm so pissed.
I'm going to cut somebody. All right.
So what she was doing was, so Richard, this is how you committed the crime, isn't it? Richard, this is why you committed the crime, isn't it? Richard, you killed those girls because of this. Didn't you? Richard, you did this because of that, didn't you? This asshole was commenting in YouTube streams that were live about this and saying different things, and then turns around and admits it on the stand. and then they lie in the document like it's okay, like we're
Yeah.
just supposed to believe it.
And the defense pointed out that she conveniently lost a lot of her notes. Like that she just didn't keep her
Conveniently.
note. Yeah, she just conveniently lost some of her notes with a lot of her notes with her conversations with Richard Allen. So
It's all garbage. There's an inmate that wrote a letter to the I can't remember who it was, that watched all this shit happen, that knew about this stuff. Now you tell me why this man would lie and send this off to the people to know what was actually going on with Allen, and what would he have to gain from this other than negative attention from the prison? Nothing.
So what I guess my argument is this. I agree with you. They're not going to, like JJ said, they're not going to admit to torturing. They're not going to admit to making threats, even though we saw weird moments where, well, he'll say things like, I have to say this, or, somebody's with me and I have to say this, or I guess I have to say that I killed them or whatever. Like he gave hints that he was being forced to say these things, but they will say categorically that never happened. It's all a game and whatever. And at the end of the day, here's the problem, because all that's going to happen, and this is where I'm going with it, all that's going to happen is an appellate judge or an appellate court is going to look at both sides and have to be convinced that the defense's argument is better than the prosecution. And the prosecution is going to say everything happened exactly like we said, end of story. Did the defense overcome that objection? Now, the other question is the defense going to have a chance to counter the prosecution's response? So they filed an appellate brief that said, here's why he should be able to appeal this. And the state had an X number of days to respond, which they've done. Now does the defense get a chance to respond to the prosecution's response to say no? So like how many back and forths are they going to have before the judge says, enough, I've heard enough. Let me review what we've got and I'll just make a decision. So,
I'm sure it'll end with the state saying whatever they say, and that'll be that. And I want anyone to try to lock themselves in a room with no TV, no nothing, not a book, not a nothing, with no light, and do it for 3 days. I bet nobody could do it. And they had him doing that for 13 months.
I'm glad you said that, because they said in that document they offered him a TV and he denied it. I don't believe you. I don't believe that.
Said, Richard Allen denied that we offered him a TV and he denied the TV. He didn't want a TV.
So here's
delusional?
Right. He was crazy eating his own shit and said, no, I don't want no TV. I want more shit. Come on.
So heartbreaking to me.
Well, it's like, if the area itself is corrupt, which by a lot of indications it is, what do you really think? I mean, corruption on an institutional level is not going away. That it's far reaching. And if that whole case itself, which by all accounts, there was a lot of shady shit, people not being looked at, people potentially being ignored. And then 5 years later, they come on to this guy. Do we really think we're ever going to get the truth from an institution that seems corrupt?
Well, that's part of my problem. Like, we can complain all day long that it wasn't fair, but the question is, and let me answer Wade Bird's question because it goes along with what we're saying. Yes, Wade Bird, the appeal decision goes to the appellate courts. It's a completely different court system than the trial court. So Judge Graff or whatever, was it Graff? No, Gull. Gull will not be the one to make the decision. So you can, for those of you who don't like the way that judge handled things, which I think I'm in that camp as well, don't worry. That's not the person making the decision on the appeal. It'll be an appellate court. And even better for those who believe that he could possibly win a right to an appeal, it probably won't go back to her courtroom. I think she's already announced retirement and won't be overseeing the retrial if it goes to a retrial.
It can't. If it goes back to her court, it's just a waste of time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. There's no way.
I mean, how about
I'll be right back.
All right.
How about the fact they brought up Odinism and then suddenly all the the guard stuff and everything, and then they're so guilty that they take off their patches, and they're not all of them, but
no. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say they had to be forced to do that, Logan. The attorneys mentioned it multiple times, and the warden finally said, "You need to remove your patches." And so they did after a period of time. They wouldn't do it until they were forced to by the warden, and then come back the next day with the tattoo. Are you kidding me?
But
now
the
I already said
the Odinists in the same exact city, county, town,
Right.
whatever, are out there putting on social media the horrific stuff they're doing to animals and
Yes.
everything else. And these are the same people in those jails that are guarding
Yeah.
Richard Allen. I don't
And
believe
look,
anything they say.
Right.
I did say, like, I think the Odinist counter argument in the document is probably the weakest part of their argument. But they did say, they're like, look, we've talked to Odinists, and Odinists tell us that their religion is completely against child sacrifice. No Odinist would ever do child sacrifice, so that you guys are wrong that it would ever be in something that Odinists would consider. No
And
Odinist would accept the child sacrifice.
That's why I've explained multiple times when I've covered this that it's not true Odinism. They took Odinism.
No.
It's actually considered something called heathenism, and they put a twist on it and made it dark and evil. Odinism
Yeah.
is not a dark religion, folks, by any means whatsoever.
Right.
They took
And that's what the
something
state's going to lean on, is like, well, look, the religion doesn't believe in this, so they wouldn't have done that.
they should present it the correct way and show what they did with it. That's the problem right there.
Yeah.
And I hope the defense does that.
Well, and what I hope is that the appellate judge will let these guys go back and forth several times so that maybe the actual truth can come out. If I was that judge, I'd be very curious to see what each side keeps presenting. I'd just let him keep doing ping pong back and forth.
Yeah,
so
and I
I
think
could
it
get
is
more information for myself.
Yeah, I think it is up to the judge's discretion to decide when they've had enough. So they can be like,
Right.
if so now if the defense sees the prosecution and tells the judge, hey, look, that's a bunch of horseshit, we want to file another brief to explain, the judge can say, no, I think I've got enough, or they can say, yeah, please let me know what I'm missing. And at the point that the judge finally says, I've heard enough, I think I know what happened here, then they'll shut it down.
Thank you.
Thank you, on top X. Thank you
sorry.
so much. No, you're fine.
I was looking at the wrong screen.
He
apologize.
usually comes in with a bang.
Yeah, and Logan's right. They're doing the same thing that they did before. They're just doing it again. They're recycling it. There needs to be somebody to break the cycle somehow or another. They need to be able to step in and break the cycle and show that this is not what really was going on.
Well, unfortunately, that's what the appellate court is supposed to do. They're supposed to be the ones that breaks the cycle. The problem is, again, appellate courts generally don't like to overturn the ruling of the original judge. And so that's why they say it's an uphill battle, because you really have to compel the appellate court to overrule a judge's decision and say they got it wrong.
They need to be able to see everything that Gall denied. Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't even see a quarter of the evidence in this case. She didn't allow for it. Okay. And they need to see everything she was doing that was wrong. One of the attorneys that she brought in when she was trying to oust the defense team, when she actually did, that they had to take it to the Supreme Court to get them reinstated. Okay. William Librato did an interview. I just showed that on my show earlier, just to remind everybody and the man was scared to death giving the interview. You could see it in his eyes and the way he was speaking and talking about the Odinistic side to this and how everything went down. And then not too long later, the man was jumped and had the shit beat out of him and retracted some of his statements and never spoke again publicly.
Right.
Are you serious? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you need to get some people like, the Centurions and the, Innocence Project. And it has to get to a point where it catches the attention of people that have the resources to push back on the corruption.
They're afraid of it. People are afraid of this. There was a task force police FBI agent that was shot and killed in front of his office by a prison guard, a former prison guard. They threw a Molotov cocktail through his window. One of the only men that was still following the Odinistic theory on this, okay, worked for the FBI task force, the thing was thrown through his window. He comes out the front door and is shot dead where he stood in front of his own damn office. That takes balls, folks. Okay. Many people lost their lives during this case. Many.
Well, the more I've been learning about secret societies and things like that, and cults and all that's connected. If you go back historically, it's connected to secret societies. I never knew anything about that stuff. But then the more you read about it, you see how ubiquitous it is and how far it goes back. And if you have an area that has elements of that in it, it's more powerful than I think your average person realizes, how deep and how wide reaching that stuff is.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, it is. It
agree.
is. And people tend to dismiss it as ridiculousness, and they don't believe that people get into secret societies, and they don't believe that people have rituals, and they're like, oh, that's just stuff for movies and stuff like that. But no, it's a real thing. It is a real thing.
No,
When
it's real.
this was going on, we had people that were basically mocking it on Facebook. People that should have been being looked into, mind you, okay?
Yeah.
People that are probably more involved, and they were ignored. They weren't even brought up. But people that are admitting to spitting on the victims at one point, and that was completely ignored. Somebody going on Facebook saying, "How do I look in this hat, guys? Does this one bother you? Does this one bug you? What about this hat?" Being an asshole about it, and just people saying anything they can say to run a different narrative on this. A retired FBI agent that comes forward and says, "Well, those sticks they just fell out of the tree on top of them." What?
Yeah.
They were
Well,
cut,
yeah,
you dumbass.
Yeah, and their counter to that
Oh,
was
shit.
it was the drawing depictions of it made it look a lot more ritualistic than the actual photographs. But I saw the photograph. You sent.
You've been
know,
there.
I've seen. Yeah, I've been there as well. I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Kim's been there. She saw it. The signs that warn you. The town.
Yeah.
warns
Don't walk
its
the
own
trail
people.
at night. Yeah.
Don't. Why? Why
Yeah.
not? You don't trust your own people.
Right.
You know why?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
it's like there's so much, like as we always say, there's so much fuckery involved in areas that have had a long history of corruption. It doesn't just go away. Stuff that gets embedded in an area, like certain parts of the country. I mean, one can tell you stories about New York City. I can tell you stories about corruption in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I've seen living in New Jersey and working in different parts of the state, it's a real thing. Corruption in certain areas is embedded in those areas, and it goes back a long time. Those things don't get undone easily, if ever. So if you have an area that's got a lot of corruption, and on top of that, you might have some occult activity in that area. That shit doesn't just get dissolved. It typically runs deep in those areas. If you're from that area and you've spent your life in that area, there's a chance that you're connected to it.
And right, and the ones that aren't have such a fear of consequence if you say something or get involved. What is anybody going to do about it?
I didn't cover this in the you may know about this, and it was news to me and I'm sure that if you've been watching the case for a long time, you're like, well, you're welcome to the club, DA. You just heard that. Yeah. The first time I heard I was surprised to see in the document that they took vaginal swabs of the girls, and there was unknown male DNA on the vaginal area of the girls and under their fingernails. And immediately my response went to and what it doesn't show is that it's Richard Allen's DNA. Now their counter is, well, it doesn't show that it's anybody's DNA because it's outdoors and it degrades too fast, so you can't tell. So they admitted male DNA was found on the girls, but we don't know. And so it's and so again, it goes to the whole thing. What they will definitively say is there is no DNA of Richard Allen at the crime scene, period.
None.
And there is male DNA found in the vaginal area of the girls, although there's apparently no sign of sexual abuse, but there was male DNA found and under their fingernails. And they just said, well, it was too degraded to tell who it is. Therefore, you must conclude it must be Richard Allen's.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And where have we heard this from before?
Yeah,
Right,
sounds
like
familiar.
Idaho. Yeah.
Sounds really familiar.
Thank you. Thank you. Bullshit. And all they had was a bullet that was buried in the dirt, not buried, but down in the dirt between the two girls. Okay. Not one bit of DNA. Nothing that connected this man to this crime. Nothing. This man came in off the street because he wanted to be a good citizen and help them with something. Okay. 5.5 years he works and lives in this town where that stupid ass picture is sitting next to him where he works at. Not one time did anybody say, oh my God, that looks like you, because it doesn't look like him at all. They buried the other picture for years until they didn't. Okay. And they swore up and down that this bullet was racked in and out of Richard Allen's 6-hour gun. Okay. Guess what? When it came to trial, they couldn't prove that. And the only way they could prove it was by firing it through the gun, which is not what happened. So you tell me what fuckery there is.
Right. And I didn't cover it in my video dropping tomorrow because I only had so much time to do one video, but they try to do a little fuckery with the wording of basically saying there was no need for anybody to identify Bridge Guy because Richard Allen identified himself as Bridge Guy. So they made this logic jump. They said, we know
shit.
Bridge Guy killed the girls, and nobody, and the fact that other people misidentified Bridge Guy is immaterial because Richard Allen identified himself as the Bridge Guy and the Bridge Guy killed them. Therefore, Richard Allen has admitted to killing them. So.
Nope.
He didn't say he was Bridge Guy though.
Nope.
He said he was there that day.
Right. So and it's a logic. You have to follow the logic. In their logic, what they say is Richard Allen said he was just originally he said he was just there during the general 2 hours the girls were there. But what they said is we can prove he was there within 15 minutes of the girls and that nobody else was. So therefore, it has proven that he is Bridge Guy because we can put him within 15 minutes of the girls and nobody else was. So he is Bridge Guy.
Just like they said that the one witness said he was muddied and bloody when she said, no, I didn't say bloody. I just said muddy.
Right. And they changed that multiple times. That's stupid. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Richard Allen's 5'6". Bridge Guy is anywhere between 5'10" and 6'2". 6'1", sorry. He's not the same because they swore up and down Bridge Guy's the killer.
Yeah,
right? They still say that. They still say that in the prosecution's thing. Bridge Guy is the killer, and Richard Allen's the Bridge Guy.
So one man took two girls down a hill across the river, killed them somewhere else because it wasn't at the scene that they were found, brought them back by himself, staged them, and did all that all by himself, even though Indiana State Police said there's multiple people involved in this crime. They ignored that too, by the way. Sure. Okay.
And Abby somehow was upside down when she was killed because her blood only goes up, not down.
Right. And they argued in there. They argued in there that that wasn't what the evidence showed. That they said that there's no evidence that she was hung upside down. That he did drag her a little bit, and that caused that. But nobody was hung upside down. Yeah.
She didn't have any blood that went down, though. They said that it all went from her neck up.
Right. They said that yeah. Right, and what he said was it's stupid. Yeah. William Librato himself said the attorney said one girl was sacrificed, one girl was murdered.
Right.
End of story.
Interesting wording. Yeah. Right.
Sacrifice.
Did they ever why didn't they have Richard Allen put on the same jeans, the same coat, the same hat, and have him go walk that bridge and take a video of it?
Because it would prove that it wasn't him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's so disheartening to see, and you know, people wonder why we question and people like us question official narratives because there's so much fuckery when it comes to the government, when it comes to law enforcement, that it's like, what can you do? Systems have been in place for a very long time. And when they're corrupt, they're corrupt.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this case ridiculous. And the only thing that I fear, like I said, is now that the creative writing has been done on both sides, will an appellate judge decide that he wants to hear or she wants to hear more? Or will they just say, yeah, good enough again? Because they're going to, if you have let me put it in simple terms. If both arguments are equally good, then he's not going to win the appeal because they don't want to overturn a judge's. The defense has to make an argument better than the prosecution. So of course the prosecution's response is going to be point to the trial and go, everything that just happened there is the way it was supposed to happen. The defense has to overcome that, and that's going to be a tricky part. Did they overcome it sufficiently? And that, you know. And one of the other biggest ones that came up in the document, I know it's kind of a little head for some that didn't read it all, but one of the other biggest arguments that they had against Richard Allen is they claimed a great number of things that the defense is now appealing got presented at court and there was no objection. And as they said, you can't object after the trial to something that you said you had no objection to. So when we told you confessed X number of times and you didn't object, there was no objection, and now afterwards you want to say I object, you can't do that. In court was the moment for you to object. Even if it's overruled, it goes on note that you objected, and that's an appealable thing. But what you can't do is you can't object to things that weren't objected to at trial. And that's what they're saying that he's doing. He's trying to object to things that they never brought up at trial.
I pray to God that they bring new evidence somehow into this. This is the only thing I feel that would be a saving grace, is if they are able to, which they probably could, and it would be stuff that they weren't able to present the first time. I pray to God they can. And yes, I do believe I saw somebody in the chat ask that. I do absolutely 100 million% believe that Ron Logan was involved, without a doubt. That's who I think you hear on the guys down the hill recording. That's who I think we see on the bridge. Okay, I know there's other people that disagree with me. That's okay. I think this happened on his property. I think that the girls were in at one of the outbuildings on his property until the next morning. Then they were moved over to the place that they were staged. That's my opinion. Now, I'm not saying he did it by himself, because he sure as hell didn't. He was just involved, is my opinion.
Did Richard Allen know Ron Logan at all?
Not that I know of. It never.
I don't know.
There's no connection anywhere. I looked left and right for that, and no.
There was another logic loop that I didn't like in the document. I talk a little bit about it in my drop tomorrow morning. But again, to be fair, my drop tomorrow morning is going to be presenting their best argument. So it's going to sound like I believe what they're saying. I'm not trying to do that from I believe what they're saying. What I'm giving is, this is what they're telling you. Did we miss something? Because this is what they're telling you. But one of their logic loops was this. Get this. Richard Allen himself and his team tried to argue that the crime was done by more than one person. He named the potential persons as Holder and Westfall. Here's where they went. Holder has an airtight alibi, so he could not have done it. Therefore, that excludes Westfall, because Westfall didn't have a partner if his partner was Holder, and we can roll out Holder. And that was their logic loop for dismissing them both. And I'm like, well, first of all, Westfall could have done it with somebody else. Even if Holder had an airtight alibi, you can't say Westfall is excluded because he said it was Westfall and Holder has an airtight alibi. Therefore, we're going to exclude Westfall. Like, the logic loop has got a flaw again. But
bullshit. There you have Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, Elvis Fields, Keegan Klein, Tony, Keegan's dad. There's too many people that are involved in this. I'm sorry. And Ron Logan, period. And no, that never happened ever, that I've ever seen or heard of, Stephen. I don't know where that would come from.
Yeah, Stephen, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, didn't they find Richard Allen with child indecent pictures? And they did not. No.
Hell no.
Not one, not ever. Nope.
Not no, but hell no.
Yeah, and that's one of those examples, like with Koberger. Shit gets spread around, and then if it sounds like something a perpetrator would have or would do, then people would run with it. I mean, I'm not criticizing people, but if you come across that information, once that gets in your head and it circulates, then that becomes part of the story in people's minds.
Right. Mikey, you kill me, bro. Mikey said, now, if he said he was in a Blockbuster in the adult section, cool, I'd take. Same here. I mean, he is a grown man. We're adults. People do that, but never was he ever caught with shit like that. Never.
Keegan Klein, yeah. His dad, yeah.
Keegan was, yeah.
Probably.
They both were. Keegan and Tony Klein were both caught with that kind of stuff, and they were actually caught with a lot worse shit and more things that were. I don't even understand it, but no, Richard Allen was never caught.
Saw that on Fox News. I don't doubt it.
Oh my God! See, gotta love mainstream media's bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, not too long ago, actually, I don't even remember what prompted this. Joe Rogan was talking with somebody. I can't remember. I wish I could remember what it was specific to. And they were saying, like, if you get on the Fed's radar or the powerful people's radar as like a potential whistleblower, let's just say, they can implant shit on your computer and say, this person, they found, these photos on so-and-so's computer. I mean, they have the technology. The NSA could do that to anybody.
Right. And most people, unfortunately, will believe it right off the bat because that's just the way we are. If they say that they found something on your computer, it's good. It's funny that you mention it because, as an aside, I realized, so when I was investigating or reporting on Luigi Mangione early on, I had somebody approach me, which I now believe was probably the feds, pretending to be basically a defunct podcast that's never actually aired since the day that I interviewed with them. A podcaster wanted to interview me as somebody that they heard supported Luigi Mangione's cause. And it felt like a Fed operation because they kept asking me questions about whether or not I believed in anarchy, whether I believed that he would be a martyr, whether I believe in overthrowing the government. And I'm like, this fucking, and here's the funny thing. In order to have the interview with them, they had me install shit to make the connection with them. And I'm like, did I just fucking backdoor myself with the fucking FBI? I bet you I just backdoored myself. They probably have a fucking pipeline to my computer. And so like, it's just scary because it's easy to do. And they're like, hey, I'm a podcaster. You know, I want you to test out the software and get your microphone working with our software. So just install this and you install it and you got backdoor. And they don't even have to get your permission to install it. They can get you, they got ways to install shit on your stuff without your permission. But
here's an example of something
that sounds crazy.
Not really though. Not really though, Lee, honestly. The man that was prosecuting, the lead prosecutor on this, and that guy we were talking about, the one that had the airtight alibi, both were in the same Masonic lodge together.
Yeah.
That's convenient and very coincidental to me, and I don't believe in coincidences in true crime. So,
speaking of coincidences, that's kind of what they basically said about, I think it was Holder that had the weird stuff on social media that had like pictures of people with dead animals and stuff, or is that Westfall? Which one?
No, that was both of them actually, both of them.
Yeah,
Westfall was in Holder's pictures, so.
Right, and they basically said, well, that's just a coincidence that there's any resemblance to that and what happened at the crime scene because, again, he has an airtight alibi. Therefore, because he has an airtight alibi, he wasn't there. Therefore, that he has creepy images that are like the murder scene have no relevance whatsoever because he couldn't have done it, so it's not worth talking about.
Of course. Do you know what his alibi was?
Yes, the punching out of the clock at the place where he worked. Yeah,
that's airtight. Lee, do me a favor tonight. When you go into work, clock me out.
Yeah, right. Well, look, and here's, I'm not saying it was good. I presented their argument. I'm not saying it was good. Their argument was, and I don't know what he exactly did. Their argument was he was a highly skilled worker. And the entire assembly that he worked on would fail to work without his presence. So nobody could have clocked him out for him because the whole line would have shut down and nobody can stand in for him. So therefore he had to have been there because only he could have done the job because it's a skilled position.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying that was their logic. That was their logic.
Yeah, I know. Right? That's fine. So if I'm not even going to go there. Forget it.
I think he worked at a landfill, didn't he? Didn't he work at a landfill or not?
I believe so. Yeah, it was some dumb shit. It wasn't anything that anybody else with even a piece of a brain couldn't have done. So
right.
You're
and
not...
it was funny because in their document they made it sound like it was impossible for somebody to have clocked him out for him, and yet I remember reading, I think, the defense explaining exactly how somebody could clock him out for him, but they said 100%. It was impossible. So
it's
so
not.
Again,
no, this is just. Oh my God, I get so pissed off. This case is, you have no clue, guys. If you've seen the passion that I have in Idaho, you ain't seen shit yet with this. I'm telling you.
But keep in mind, Dago, here's the problem. An appellate judge is going to hear their argument and decide if they're telling the truth. That's the thing.
I know that too. And that's what I'm saying. There needs to be a way for them to present new evidence and things that Gall stepped on and kicked out. I've never seen anything like this in my life. This one blackmailed and forced the defense team to recuse itself to the point where they had to go to the Supreme Court to be reinstated just so she could bring in who she thought were her own friends as the defense attorneys, and then denied everything. Anything they asked for. You think Hitler was bad? You ain't met this chick. I'm telling you, she was insane. If you said the word Odinism in her courtroom, you were held in contempt and arrested right there.
Yeah.
Period.
Makes you wonder if an internet sleuther dug far enough, will they find that she has some kind of Odinist connection?
I tried, but of course, when you're somebody like her or anybody in that position of power, as I say, you can bury anything you want. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, if you think about it, the legal system has always been an extension of the power structure.
Yeah.
Right. It's it's almost like it's more common for the system by far to work for the powerful and to not work for citizens like it's supposed to enforce laws and uphold the Constitution. But if you talk to somebody who's never read about secret societies, power structure, corruption, and things like that, they would think you're crazy to suggest that these things are based on corruption and connections to bigger things. But that is, if you just look at history, the way everything has always been structured, not just in America, in the world, is anything connected to the power structure, the federal government, central banks, all that stuff doesn't really work for citizens. It works to protect the powerful. So to me, you hear about corruption, it's like, yeah, of course. Like, these people get put into their positions because of the connections they have. I mean, that's just the way things go.
I was trying
Right.
to find I was
Right.
trying to find the my file that has all the crime scene photos. I remember hearing this, by the way, and this is I don't want to switch us off of Delphi right away, but I didn't want to also let this take forever to go by and have them not acknowledge it. So I've heard about the photo you're talking about, 1047. I haven't looked at it. I heard of a YouTuber, I can't remember if it was Lana or Phoenix, that talked at length about it. Off its surface, reading it without seeing it, I'm bothered by it, but I will
If
try to
one
look
of
into
you-
it. I just got to find the photo. So
If one of the mods on my side as well can pull that photograph, please do. It's number 1047. If you guys have the ability,
have you looked at it?
probably. I don't remember.
Yeah,
which
I mean,
one
I
it
looked
is.
at all the photos, but I didn't
So
look
did
at it
I.
after somebody said that. And here's the
No.
problem I have. On first blush, I'm going to put myself out there to make a mistake, right? Saying that you see the imprint of a lacrosse glove, I'm like, really? I like you can make out so much that it's a lacrosse glove specifically. So that usually indicates somebody's got a theory, and then they show here's what supports my theory, as opposed to it's obvious by looking at it. But I'm saying that without having looked at the photo, which is I was going to not do, but I just did. So what are you going to do about it? Now we got to find the photo so we can talk about it.
I got, hopefully somebody can find it. And
I'm
yeah,
trying to find. I just don't remember what the name of the file is. I've got the file somewhere, but
it takes a minute to get to mine. That's why I didn't get a chance to start looking. And yes, Meg, I agree. Don't forget, Gall's lawyer friends said that Richard Allen's defense team was right after they got let go, and then Richard Allen's old defense team was reappointed. See what I mean? That's what I was saying. William Labrado. This is the attorney that took over for them, that came forward, gave the interview, scared to death. Okay, and then later on after this, got the shit kicked out of him, conveniently, retracted certain things, and that was that. I mean, and the man said, he said, I don't typically think that when I defend somebody that they're innocent. I absolutely 100% feel that Richard Allen, Jesus, is 100% innocent of this crime.
Yeah,
without a doubt. So,
again,
I did.
We're talking Delphi, but what I heard, Tomboy, and this is
told to me.
What I heard was with a squirrel in his hand, and they kind of laughed about it and shook their head like, I can't believe it. What I didn't hear clearly is the context for it. So this is one of those isolated audio things. Like I tried to hear what they were talking about. I couldn't hear it. Everybody keeps telling me full sentences of who they're talking about. I can't hear that. And so I can't, what I can say is I know what you're talking about. I too peeked up at the sound of a dead squirrel in his hand, but I don't know who they were talking about because I couldn't make it out on the audio.
Well, let's just extrapolate on that for a second. What is a squirrel? What class of animal is a squirrel?
A rodent.
Is it a rodent?
Okay.
Yeah.
And what other animals are in that category?
Rats
and mice, and a rat.
And
Bingo.
what
Dirty
if,
rat.
Bingo.
Let's just hypothesize if that was true. That was a way to signify something.
Good one, JJ.
Mr.
Good
CIA.
one, brother. With a rat.
But to play devil's advocate, has a squirrel ever been used as a euphemism for a dirty rat?
Maybe they couldn't find a rat. They're too sneaky.
Squirrel tastes like chicken, I hear. So
Look, I mean,
It does.
that's
It
a
does.
reach, obviously, but I'm just saying, if something crazy like that were to be true, then that didn't happen by accident. A rodent didn't end up in a dead person's hands.
no, so that's JJ, but that's the problem. It sounded to me like they were talking about a guy walking around the neighborhood that they had stopped who was carrying a dead squirrel. So how that came to Ethan was laying in his bed with the dead squirrel in his hand, I don't think that's what they were talking about. It sounded like they were talking about him carrying a dead squirrel around in the neighborhood when that was the best they could come up with, is they were talking about somebody they stopped or somebody walking around and like, did you see he had a dead squirrel in his hand? Now, again, I don't know. If somebody heard definitively that it was Ethan that had the dead squirrel, that would be a fucking $1 million what the fuck question. But was it him or was it somebody walking around the neighborhood with a dead squirrel in their hand? I don't know.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Moto, for the super chat. It says, has anybody in the panel ever suspected the older sister?
Talking about Olivia Stevenson, that older sister.
No. I
In the
think
Delphi
you
case or
mean
the Idaho
Delphi,
case?
Yeah.
The Delphi
Oh,
case. Yeah, the
Delphi.
older sister that dropped the girls off. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard people
Yeah.
accuse because there was some hair found in her hand that would belong to
Yeah.
her, and people said, "How did that
Yeah.
happen?" Photograph 1047's backstage, by the way.
I see that. So the question is, do we need to caveat this with it's a crime scene photo? I don't know how. I mean, we've done it
Trigger
before
warning.
on
Throw up
live.
a trigger- yeah. Throw a trigger warning up, mods, please, if you can, in all chats, because there's a lot of blood in this. There
So
truly is.
Steve, so let's stop for a second. Steven is the same one who asked, didn't Richard Allen have child kitty porn or whatever? And now you're saying he's a registered sex offender in California. So is this true that Richard Allen is a registered sex offender in California?
Not that
That's-
it's never been presented to any of the documents in the trial, in any hearings anywhere, and I would imagine that they would throw that out there if they did.
That's exactly where I was going with it. If it was that easy to find that Richard Allen was a registered sex offender in California, why wouldn't that have been all over the news as part of the thing to convict him? That's why I have a hard time with that one. But
it's not.
Logan,
did you ever hear that? Ever?
What?
Did you ever hear anything about that? None of us ever saw that.
Richard Allen was a registered sex offender in California.
No, he's saying different person, completely different person, I think.
Oh,
I
thought he said
because he was the same one that asked if didn't Richard Allen have child photos on it.
He said the Richard Allen I was thinking of is from California and is a registered offender.
Oh, well, that's a big clarification. All right, trigger warning. We're going to put a crime scene photo from Idaho for.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Logan, for clarifying that. Sorry.
Yeah, that was a big thing to clarify. I don't know if you have controls. Oh, that's a graphic scene. We're looking for a handprint on the mattress, wasn't it? They said it was a lot. Oh, and now it could be down there where the fingerprint looking.
Right here, right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right,
that's what I'm thinking. That's what I was thinking. Is if that's what they're thinking is a lacrosse glove. Can you zoom in on the picture?
It looks like a print of some kind.
Right. It does have potential. That's why when I first saw it, I was like, well, there looks like fingers. Like you could say maybe that was fingers.
It does.
So
look
is
like
that what they're talking about?
I don't know. I've never seen this before, but it could be.
I could logic that if somebody had blood all over their hands and they pressed their hand down on the sheet to kind of climb up on the bed or whatever, that would be the kind of mark it would make. But
you got to remember one thing with this photograph. This bed was pushed completely against the wall until everybody pulled it away from the wall. So how did somebody get down beside that side of the bed to do that? Unless they came across from the other side and reached down on that side of it. So
somebody said 7 fingers. Count the fingers. Is there 7 fingers on that?
1, 2, 3.
I see 4.
More than one handprint.
4.
That is a handprint.
It does look like a handprint.
It does look like one. There's 4. The thumb would be over here.
You got the palm. You got the palm down there. I can see the palm ridge. I mean, that looks. I don't want to say that is a handprint, but it sure looks like a handprint.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It definitely looks like one, but it looks like they took it off and pressed down again.
Right.
But the problem is if this is the palm print, how did they reach their hand up from this side of the bed if it was against the wall?
Yeah, see, I don't think that's a palm print.
Hold on. Remember, somebody else asked us if we had seen this photo. So please verify if what we're looking at is even the parts you're talking about. I would hate to waste all of our time talking about that mark and it's not even the one that you're talking about. So is this the right area? Because I've never had anybody point out to me what it is. I'm just guessing that's the closest thing that looked like a potential.
Well, look at the ribbing. When you look at it, it's all right. So the two sections of that might be considered a handprint. Look at the ribbing from left to right that goes.
I'll
up
do
and
it, Moto.
down. You know,
you're talking about here.
There's the angular lines, right?
Yeah.
See the angular lines from left to right to left, left to right.
Yeah, right there.
That are something made that imprint.
And it looks like right here, like these look like blood drags with finger drags, okay? And then it connects to the fingers here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it was drugged down and then it printed somehow there like that. That could be. I mean, it could be. Honest to God.
But that whole section, you guys see what I'm talking about, right? There's a angular vertical lines going across, right?
It looks like the fabrics, the line of the fabric. Yeah.
And this definitely looks like a palm print because see the lines.
Did the person ever confirm that this is the print that we're supposed to be looking at? Because we're spending all this time analyzing this print. And I would hate
probably not.
This isn't the print I'm talking about, dumbasses.
Kelsey,
I've done it before. Spend all this time analyzing a print, and it's not even the print they're talking about.
I don't know of anything else in the photograph that I can see that. Let me see. All of this is just a matted mess, along with all this. That's the only thing that has any definition that I can tell.
Yeah, I agree. Like right off the bat, I saw it, so that wouldn't be too hard to. But again, so let me ask you guys. You tell me. Can you prove what type of glove the person had on?
No, but do you see this? This looks like a palm and thumb.
Right, that could be another. You're right. It could be two hands
right there. Maybe I don't know. I'm just saying that's the only thing that has any definition to it that I can see.
Right. But how did they get lacrosse glove? That's what I'm trying to get at. So they're saying specifically, did you see the lacrosse glove? This reminds me of
that's what ChatGPT came up with apparently.
ChatGPT analyzed that and said it's a lacrosse glove.
All right. Yeah. So here's my only thing with this. If this happened the way it looks, okay, it would have to be that somebody would. If you can see me, you probably can't. Hold on. Can you move that,
pull the printer device
just for a second? I'll show you something with what I think. Okay. It looks to me if that's what that is, that somebody was under the bed and reached up and like this from that side of the bed and put their hand on it this way. That's the only way it would make that print, I would think. Excuse me, because the bed was against the wall.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Go ahead, Robin.
No, I don't know what that is, but you're right, because that's the only way you're going to get a palm print from that direction.
That angle, right? Because the bed was against the wall. It doesn't.
Let's see if we all agree. Let's see if we all agree on this. Is that the right hand print or the left hand print?
That would be the right hand, in my opinion.
Well,
wait a minute. Yeah, the right hand. I would say the right hand. Yeah, because these are the drags, but the fingers look like they're broken.
So follow my logic though. If that's the right hand, then that other palm print can't be the left unless you're doing a crossover with your hands, some weird ass shit.
But if it was this hand, your left hand, I guess it could be, but you would still have to be under the bed, reaching up, doing this from under the bed.
Either way.
Do we know for sure that that's the spot they were referring to?
Yeah,
they confirmed it. That was the right. This is the right spot.
One.
Yeah.
I think it looks more like a shoe or a boot print. I don't think that looks like a hand.
See, and this is, and I want to use this this is not to shame anybody, but I'll use this about what I'm careful about. Somebody will say something like, I believe that's a lacrosse glove handprint. And then it'll get into the ether as that's fact now. Did you see the lacrosse handprint? And it suddenly goes from somebody's opinion about what it might be to now it's a fact. And have you seen the fact that there's a lacrosse handprint on the, like, you can't make that jump. We don't know what that is.
We make sure we clarify too, folks. When we look at these things, this is purely speculated and absolutely alleged based on people's opinions on things, obviously. So, there's nothing anywhere that proves what this is. It's just something somebody sees, just like with the nightstand that had the people
see,
thought
look,
there was writing in the nightstand on the blood, and it was absolutely it was swabbing, they're saying. But we don't know. We don't know.
and there's people in the chat that seem to be saying that they think it's a shoe print. So you can't. Again, are we going to we're going to definitively say it's a handprint and it's a lacrosse handprint when there's other people who think it's a shoe print? Like it's a two people see it and they see different things. So that therefore, I'm not gonna repeat the word. Yes, I've seen the lacrosse handprint because I don't know what I've seen. I see what you believe is or what you're implying it might be, but I don't know what it is.
That's how you have to approach it. Is say, yes, I saw what you believe you see. I see what you're talking about, but I don't know what it is. It could be a boot print.
It could be. It could be. Yeah, it could be.
It's a Rorschach test.
Now, if you can show me other evidence that somebody in the house had lacrosse gloves, and then we're getting closer. Like, oh, okay, like I need more data points. Then, do you see this smear that clearly is or do you hear this sound that's clearly, it's like, well, no, like it could be other things. Other things look and sound like other things, and and I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon if that's what it is and start making videos about it because I don't know what that is exactly.
All right, so let me show you something real quick then. And I get why this is said, and I see what people are looking at to some extent, but this is what lacrosse gloves look like. If this will help you guys at all.
What was that question from Rhonda?
It's backstage.
Something that JJ said. Okay, give me a second.
Rorschach.
Oh, the Rorschach. That's ink test, ink blot. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, Rorschach test, that the ink blot test.
Those big things that look like butterflies when you say, what
it's the what do you see? Oh, I see an elephant. I see a child being murdered. And you're like, it's just a fucking ink blot. Right? How the fuck did you see that there?
I threw some different lacrosse gloves backstage for you. So you see this here, for instance. This is why I think people are saying this, because of the thickness of the fingers and things like that. When you look at the photograph and the ridges and all that, possibly, I can understand why it would be thought to be, but I don't know. And also, you don't like this. Okay, let's say the left-handed side here. 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers, just like we saw. If they were fingers, there's no thumb.
It would be a pretty strategic way to do it because your hands wouldn't get injured.
Let me give you one more theory here, real quick. If that would mean that thing we saw was not the palm. This part, okay.
Oh, you want to pull that picture? Oh, yeah.
I can throw it back up. It's already there. If you want to pull it back up real fast.
I don't see it. Oh, the original picture. Yeah. Oh, I just removed it. How about add it to stage? Okay.
There you go. So, if that was the case, there's no palm print here. That would be that they came over top of the bed with the back side of the hand, this part, and that's how these fingers got laid onto the sheet that way. If they were covered in blood, possibly. Maybe leaning over, their hand touched on the bed sheet there or something. I could then see it maybe, but that means this is not a palm print. So it doesn't make sense in either direction that I look at, is all I'm saying. So just a thought.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. The squirrel is a well-known mascot for the Alpha Gamma Delta sorority. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Logan.
You're welcome.
So what would that mean in okay,
right? Which one of the girls
talk about that?
Yeah,
I don't know. I just looked up what a squirrel can mean, and there was an Indian connotation to what a squirrel can mean, and it means like humility, like take care of the small things in life.
Thank you, Moonlit.
While you're looking at the bigger picture, or it's a mascot for the Alpha Gamma Delta sorority. That I just looked it up. So
thank you, Fizzy and Tomboy and Moonlit. You guys, these mods are amazing.
Moto's confusing me a little bit because so somebody was saying it's got 7 fingers. Moto's saying it's got 6 fingers. We looked at it and we both agreed we saw 4 fingers. So how are they getting to 6? I don't know if we want to look at it or care, but people are, again, we can't even agree on what. I saw 4, but Moto sees 6. Somebody else saw 7 fingers. So I don't know.
Do you want me to pull it back up?
We can try it one more time, but it's probably going to end up being a subjective thing because again, it's us seeing 5 and them seeing 6 or 7, or us seeing 4, I should say.
Let me blow it up a little bit more again. sorry. Slide it that way. Okay, so I see. Damn it! I don't want that damn thing. Oops, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all I see.
Unless they're saying that the break and the other ones up there are another 4 fingers, or I don't
what I
know.
Oh,
Like
yeah, up here.
how do you get? Yeah. So I don't understand how you get.
I know what they're saying. I know what they're saying, Lee. Hold on a
It
minute.
was
So
put down once and picked up and put down again.
exactly. So that could be that, or if you look at this again, give me a second here. Where did it go? I'm gonna have to pull that off. 1 second. Some of these gloves have breaks in the fingers.
Did you put something backstage? No.
Not yet. Hold on. Moonlit, and I have to get back to where I found it. Moonlit and Fizzy sent me the same photo, basically. So, thank you, ladies. You guys are amazing. So the break.
Bianca sees 7 too. How do we see 4 and they see 7? That's
I
what
see
I'm trying to
4.
think of.
Pull that up real quick, if you don't mind, sir, ma'am, whoever's doing it. See, so see the breaks in between the fingers there.
Yeah.
Maybe that is what's being seen. But even though that's on the backside, the outside of the hand, the inside of the hand, if it were to be from the palm down, there's nothing there. There's no breaks there. There's only 4. And I'll pull it back up one more time. Just because
It's the topic of the night, apparently.
I mean, it's interesting, yes, but I see 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all, and the 4th one's faded, kind of. I think. I mean, am I missing it or no?
Yeah, I see another faded one to the left. That you can only see the top part of the finger.
Right here.
Nope. Left.
Here.
Nope. Up.
Left. Your left. Sorry.
Nope. Go up. Nope.
Up.
Yep. Go to the left just a smidge.
Your left or mine?
I don't know.
Left
This
on
way?
the screen.
This way.
Yeah, right there. Right there. Right.
Okay.
Okay, go to the right just a little bit. Right
Okay.
there. You're on it. That's the top of the finger.
Okay. Yeah, I see what she's seeing now. Right.
Okay.
It's very faded, but yeah, it's right there. Well, you guys got damn good eyes. Shit. You know what? If that's the point, then there's something else right here too. That could be like the top of the finger.
Maybe that's
1.
where they're getting 7, but you're
Yeah,
a better man than I if you see.
That's what I'm saying. It
fingers.
doesn't look like just one handprint. It looks like it was bloody and put
Oh,
down and then picked up and then put down again. And so you got fainter and fainter as the blood comes off.
Okay. I see it now. 1, 2,
Mm-hmm.
3, 4. But that leaves me at 5. Or maybe
There's
6.
another one
There's
next-
one more.
Yep.
There's 6. That's
There's
what I was
6.
talking about
6
earlier.
of them.
The ribs.
Yep. All right. So let me show it again, guys. There's 2 very faint ones. There's one, and all you're seeing is this part for this one here, the tip of the finger right there. Right there. I wish my pointer was working.
Could it be somebody's rib cage?
There.
Wait a minute. Are we looking for the 5-fingered man? No. Anybody? Class?
Doesn't
You know?
everybody
No
have
idea.
5 fingers?
Inigo Montoya looking for a
Can I-
5-fingered man?
Can I make a couple observations?
Please.
Of course.
If you go up into where the heavier staining is, right up from the glove, do you see alongside the mattress towards the frame? You see similar kind of marking. I put it in. I asked Wheels, my AI, and he is saying that it looks like this is more compression of the sheet up into blood because it was against the wall, and with all the blood, I mean, we can see it coming down and
Yeah,
everything.
this
you see
here.
similar marking. You see similar marking up right there.
I think, yeah, and when I was looking at that first before we looked at the other thing over here. This to me looks like the mattress underneath it. I think these have those what do you call the mattress covers underneath them? And then
Yeah.
the sheet on top of that has wrinkled itself and jumbled itself together a little bit because of the blood. And that's what it looks like to me right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, this is smooth. So
Well, somebody's
I don't
rib
know.
cage could make that kind of imprint. And if somebody was wedged up against the
But-
wall trying to get away from somebody, their rib cage could have made a partial
But this-
imprint.
You
Maybe.
have to remember this bed was completely flush against the wall.
flat. Yeah.
So even a rib cage is going to have a hard time, especially if we're saying Ethan, how big he is. Can you imagine trying to get his rib cage right on that section of the mattress?
Yeah, and I think his head was more up this
Up
and this
towards the top of the bed.
right there,
Yeah.
I would say. So
Yeah.
his ribs being down here would be kind of a stretch, I think. Unless
Yeah.
that was maybe a an imprint for from a movement, and then he moved up this way trying to get away or something. Maybe it could be. I'm just saying it would be
Maybe.
hard to get
I don't
that in.
know.
It was flat, like against the wall with very little gap, folks.
But that's like a
Yes.
really distinctive pattern, those
It is.
lines. So
Yeah.
it's like what caused that? That's a pretty
Yeah.
specific type of
It is.
pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's
Where
another
you
good
see
point.
the bed now is not where it was. This was pulled out by
Away from the wall. Yeah.
the
Yeah, no,
cloth, yeah.
I know that. But I'm just throwing it out
Sure.
there, like
We're
the
trying
pattern,
to figure
Sure.
out
what that pattern is.
What else
could
could it
be,
be, you
yeah.
guys? What else could that be other than fingerprints or rib cage or anything? I mean, think about it and look at it. What else could it be? We don't know. I mean, it could be just a finger drag that somehow or another their hand was there and then they drug their fingers up that direction. Or, I mean, that could have been Ethan, unfortunately, here trying to get, like, grab a hold of something or something in his hands. I don't know, but it does resemble a couple different things, truly and honestly.
I don't know.
It's very weird.
It's interesting at the
Yeah.
very least.
We'll classify it as weird.
100%, because it is truly and honestly that. I appreciate
right,
your
well-
guys' interaction very much.
Yeah, appreciate it very much. It's a lively discussion. I think we're getting close to the wrap up time. We went long on Delphi, and then we went long on Idaho, and now it's like, holy shit, we're out of time. Did you come with Logan, any crime updates for anything, or did you?
I have just some short ones.
Sure, go ahead.
So today, actually, Jarvis Butts, if you guys remember who that is, reports confirm Jarvis Butts has been found dead in prison shortly after his sentencing. He had just been sentenced to 35 to 60 years after pleading guilty to the murder of 13-year-old Naziah Harris, multiple sexual assault charges involving minors. This case has shocked many because prosecutors described him as a serial predator. Evidence showed grooming behavior spanning years. His death raises major unanswered questions because they still have never found her body.
Oh, wow.
I had the Rex Heuermann, so we'll skip that one.
Or
Although his
Heuermann.
court date is set, or whatever it is. Rex, the serial killer. His court date is set for April 8th, 2026.
Which sounds like it's not going to happen.
And then, yeah, I have this could completely change the case and a trial may never happen. There is the Lover's Lane murders. It's a cold case breakthrough. Arrests made after 36 years. The suspect is 64-year-old Floyd William Parrott. The victims were Cheryl Henry and Andy Atkinson, found murdered in 1990 inside a car. I believe this was in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
What was
There
the name
is-
again? Atkinson?
One of the victims was Andy Atkinson. The other one was Cheryl Henry, and the arrest was Floyd William Parrott.
I remember. Okay.
Janie Pendleton murder, which is extremely brutal. She was stabbed 107 times. Initially, it was believed to be 20 times, and then they found 107. She was found many days after
It's a
her
big
death.
number.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Investigators are searching for a man that is known to her, and there is no formal suspect named yet.
Wow. How do you get a
just-
miscount from 20 something to 107 or something like that?
I don't
Exactly.
know.
Yeah, right.
Maybe some that looked like one, but were double, kind of, real close to each other in the same spot. Who knows?
Same way they did the miscount in the Jack Showalter blood spot they found in his apartment. Sorry. Logan,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Savannah Guthrie has now returned to work.
Mhm.
She has.
And I have Dr. Henry Lee, a major figure in true crime, has died. He is a legendary forensic scientist tied to cases like the O.J. Simpson trial. He died today at the age of 87. And in the Tyler Robinson case, a judge has denied a bond reduction for the man charged with shooting conservative activist Charlie Kirk in Utah.
Wow.
So yeah, okay. I mean, that's not unexpected for me.
No.
But
They're not going to let him out.
Those are
No.
your dirty case updates for the day.
Perfect.
Riding dirty.
Give me riding dirty. Give me riding dirty.
Thank you, Bianca, for the gifted. That's so sweet.
There's been a few big sort of not bombshells, but sort of like bombshells in the Turning Point Erica Kirk saga that have dropped in the last few days. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about that.
Is she pregnant or no?
Baron Coleman, who's one of the people he's an attorney. He's one of the people that have been following it. Did a really, I only saw clips of it through Candace, but he basically, there was that whole narrative about when they found out, like the one guy, Andrew Colvett,
right,
and Erica found out that Charlie was dead. Right. So there was this narrative about when did they actually know? Because apparently the flights, like there was a flight from Santa Barbara to Arizona. What's the that nice part of Arizona by Phoenix? I can't remember. And where that would have been where Colvett was coming from, right? From Santa Barbara. And then Erica meeting him at the airport. So there was this, I won't get into the details, but Baron Coleman's assertion is that the only way that, depending on when they can confirm that Colvett was on the flight on his way to meet Erica by a certain time, is if Charlie Kirk's murder was planned.
Oh, yeah.
That he knew in advance that
Sidonia.
it was going to happen. And so he was going to meet Erica. Now, it's the timing of when he was in the air and when he allegedly found out that Charlie was dead after it happened. There's a discrepancy as to when they say they found out versus when the evidence shows that they knew that Charlie was dead and when he was in the air. So it's I encourage anybody who's following that case who hasn't seen it to watch Baron's some of the videos he did, because he's a pretty methodical guy, and he had a crash out. I'm talking about this like that. The only way, this is what he said, the only way that flight could have been in the air by this certain time is if Charlie Kirk's murder was planned and they knew about it in advance.
Interesting.
Very
interesting.
Watch it.
I will. What'd you say it was, JJ? Baron what?
Baron
Coleman?
Baron Coleman.
That's what I thought. Okay, I know who that is.
Yeah, he's been really on this shit. And he's like Candace.
Yeah.
He's like a dog on a bone, except he's very he's more methodical because he's an attorney, and the way that he breaks things down.
Okay.
Obviously very intelligent.
I have one more thing really, really fast.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that I mentioned a case earlier this week. It's called the Jenna Straubel case. She lived in Indiana. She crossed state lines into Illinois to Will County, and she shot to death her kid's dad, his mom, and his dad. And then she fled back to Indiana. So this happened on Monday. I FOIA requested this morning a shit ton of stuff for the case. I wanted all the body cams, previous cases, police report. I wanted everything. Do you know that Will County, which is an hour away from me, got back to me within 45 minutes to an hour of my FOIA request and told me I was denied, which is fine because it's a brand new ongoing investigation. I expected to be denied, but they got back to me within 45 minutes to an hour. I still have like 4 or 5 that are completely ignored from Idaho, and I have some that never received a response.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
I'm like, that's how you do FOIA requests, assholes.
Unbelievable.
Remember, national security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to lay off.
National
Tell
security,
your
my
boys
ass.
at the CIA to lay off this shit, JJ.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come on, man.
JJ.
Lighten up, JJ.
Do you want me to, guys, to get it all approved for you?
Yes,
I wanted
please.
all.
Yeah.
Do you want me to? I mean,
Jesus.
I have been refraining from making a few calls and calling in a few favors, but
Get it done, bro. Come
if you
on.
really want, I can make a few calls and
Okay.
speed up the process for you.
Thank you. Finally. God.
All right, let's get some close going. We're gonna go Robin, Logan, JJ, Dago, and then I'll close this out for the night as we're reaching our 2-hour mark. We're past our 2-hour mark, but that's okay. We had a lively show. Robin,
Great
what do you have for
conversation.
close? Yes.
Well, yes, we certainly did have a lively show. There's a lot moving on these cases all of a sudden, especially with the List case. That's going to be very fascinating to watch what develops there, whether or not there is actually a plea agreement, or and if so, what info will Rex reveal? So that's going to be very, very interesting to watch. But we thank you guys for coming out. As always, we could not do this without you. And whether you catch us live or you're on the replay crew, we appreciate it. Please make sure that you like the videos, you're subscribed to all the channels, and that you're commenting on our videos. That helps us out more than we can ever say. And if you know someone who's into true crime and you like what we're doing, make sure you share our channels with them. So I'm doing the plug for the evening. So please do that for us. That would help us greatly. So, yeah. But
real quick,
everyone, I hope you have a
sorry,
what?
Go ahead, finish. I was gonna say while you're on screen, I wanted to mention, because you brought up the Heuermann thing.
Yes.
It dawned on me, if Logan was right about the date, and I'm sure she was, that the trial was going to start in April. We're approaching the end of March. It would be the right timing for a plea deal to come in, right? Because they're going to plea before they assemble the jury and everything like that. In addition, it makes you wonder, and I don't want to get into a long discussion about it tonight. Let's save it for another night, maybe tomorrow night. Is there a connection between Rex Heuermann supposedly being on crutches? Did he get beaten? Did somebody beat him into a confession or a plea deal? Like, is it even a possibility that somebody could beat that behemoth of a man and convince him to do a plea deal? So is there a connection to him being on crutches, not showing up to trial, that all of a sudden there's a plea deal and we're done?
Sure. I mean, and you got to remember, the guy is like 60. So if somebody half his age, or, even in their 40s, decided to, take a hold of, it's not like he has the strength he once did. Keep in mind the kind of victims that he always chose, very petite. So it's very easy for anyone to overpower someone like that. But he's 60. He hasn't been eating the greatest, I'm sure. So he's not in that great a health. So maybe somebody did take a hold of it. Who knows? Or maybe he's just that sick or whatever, that he just decided that, what do I got to lose? So
that could be your goal, you guys, to the plea in itself. Maybe he got his ass beat in prison and said, "Hey, I'll give you guys something if you can put me somewhere where I know I'll be protected." Please.
Right.
And there's allegations that he might have even been mob connected. So did the mob get to him? There's a lot of, anyways. Too much for a close. But thank you for bringing
brought it up earlier, boss.
God dang it, man! All right. Anyways, Logan, what do you have for closing tonight? Oh, you're muted. That's what you got.
I just want to thank everybody for always showing up for us and having amazing conversation. Tonight was a great chat with everybody. Thank you, On Top X, Stephen Moto, and Bianca for the supers and the gifted memberships. I appreciate you very, very much. Do something nice for yourself today. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your animals. And thank you, Bianca, for modding and doing such a great job.
Awesome. If you have time, Logan, stay for just a moment after the show. I want to say something to everybody on the panel after backstage, but if you don't, that's fine. We'll get it to you somehow. JJ, State of the Deep, what's going on?
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, advocates, denizens, meatballs, believers, mods, as always. Thank you very much. Or the trial of Heuermann would expose corruption. So
Yes.
a deal was
Right.
made that we
Yes.
would take care of you, buddy, in
There you
prison.
go.
We don't want this to go to trial because a lot of dirty stuff is going to come out. All right. That being said, remember my public service announcement. I can't forget. Everybody volunteer your DNA to Othram Labs to make the world a safer place.
Nice.
Or they start pushing you to get digital ID and enroll in a central bank digital currency. Remember, it's for the greater good.
Of course. Yeah. Give up your
So-
security so we can make you safe.
With
Yeah.
that being
Yeah.
said, I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. And we got Dago up next. And what do you got for close?
All right. Great show tonight, guys. Great conversation. Just so much to talk about. It was exciting, actually, to have these conversations. I'm looking forward to the next, and I hope it's just as good. As always, because of these amazing people. Thank you, Lee, Miss Robin, Miss Logan, and JJ for doing me the honor of allowing me to join you to have these conversations. They're absolutely amazing. Thank you to all of you moderators all the way around, full circle. You guys are amazing. My moderators proved it tonight by doing what they did to help to bring these things to the table for us to talk about. You guys are amazing. They do it in Devil's Advocates. Logan's they do it as well. You guys are all amazing, and I want you guys to know how important you are to all of our channels, how much you all mean, and thank you for doing what you do. We love you guys so very much. Everybody else that's out there that came to join us tonight, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for always being here to watch us do what we do, to support us, and to interact the way you guys do. I love the way you guys interact as the community. It's amazing. I enjoy it, every bit of it. So thank you all for being who you are, and don't forget to love yourselves, love each other, and don't change a thing, because you truly are the beautiful people. And I will see you very soon. Good night, everybody.
Perfect. All right. And for me, I will say thank you again for coming to another Crimes After Dark and my wonderful panel that supports us. And look, if you like the Delphi case, I ask you a favor tonight. There's 150 plus, there's 160 something people here still watching the show. If every single one of you interacted with tomorrow morning's drop, whether you agree with it or not, it's going to help the Delphi case stay on the radar. We got lots to talk about. Don't get freaked out when I present to you what the prosecution's reply was, because I'm going to tell you what I see as their best strong argument. And some of you might get the wrong idea and say that I don't have any questions in the case anymore. Listen to it. Listen, as I say. And again, please help that out. Every comment, every like, every subscribe, but you've already subscribed, you're here, but likes and interactions with that is going to help that rise up, and it'll help us have talking points. We're all interested in continuing to talk about Delphi, so we need your help on that. Again, that comes out tomorrow morning, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the drop for the public. It's already available for members only. Love you all. Have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow night, same time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.